Teammate, the prosecution has rested in their case in the trial of two IMPD officers accused in the killing of Herman Whitfield III.
Right now, the defense put one of the officers on the stand. Teammate's Cody Fisher just stepped out of that courtroom. Cody, what's happening now?
Well, guys, Officer Stephen Sanchez testified that he never heard Herman Whitfield III say that he could not breathe. And he says that he never thought that Herman was in a medical emergency. And he also testified that during the interaction, he was actually trying to help and make sure that Herman was breathing by making sure that his head was turned to the side. And then he said that when he and the other officers finished cuffing Whitfield, that he was not applying any pressure onto his back. Now, right before the defense called Officer Sanchez to the stand, the defense called IMPD's lead instructor for physical tactics. Now, on the stand, he testified that Officer Sanchez and Ahmad followed IMPD policy every step of the way, saying it was reasonable to keep him in a prone position after being cuffed because Whitfield still posed a potential threat since he had just been acting erratically and had charged at officers and could have had the potential to get up and still hurt officers. Now, that testimony is in direct contrast to the use of force expert called by the prosecution today, who testified that once officers had cuffed Whitfield, the fight was over and he was no longer a threat, and that they should have immediately moved him into a recovery position for him to breathe. Now, that expert by the prosecution also said that officers should have been were trained to do some basic life-saving techniques like CPR or checking for a pulse, which until medics had got there, the officers on the scene did not do those things.
Cody, you also noticed the defense team trying to shift blame for why Whitfield died, correct?
Yeah, Dakari, I picked up on that based on the questions that the defense team was asking IMPD's lead instructor for physical tactics. Based upon the questions that they were asking, they were trying to shift blame to the paramedic, saying that she did not move in a very timely fashion. It is worth noting that the paramedic yesterday testified for the prosecution that if she had known that Whitfield was in a prone position when she was coming into the house, she would have gotten there much sooner, but that information was not relayed to her through both agencies' dispatch.
Use that term, prone position. I understand you just heard testimony from a defense witness about the use of that term. What did they have to say?
Yeah, the defense, actually, the last witness that they called to the stand was a biomedical engineer. He does have his PhD, but he's not a medical doctor, and he's also studied in custody law enforcement deaths that have to deal with breathing. And according to him, the prone position had no impact on Whitfield's death, and that in the prone position, he should have still been able to breathe sufficiently.
All right, there's Teammate's Cody Fisher tonight reporting. Thank you, Cody.